It's like a blank screen.
Okay, recording started. Thank you. Go ahead, Odi.
Okay, so thank you for having me. As Satish sir introduced, my name is Uday. I've been in the IT industry for about 15, 16 years. I've in various capacities. Currently, I work as a solution architect at a fintech company, and the past 1.5, 2 years, I've been delving into the Gen AI and agentic AI space. And I wanted to bring forth all the learnings I have done over the past couple of years and build this course together and have folks who are taking this course have a very good and detailed understanding as to what the ecosystem is, the generative AI and agentic AI ecosystem is, what sort of skills are needed in this area, what are the barriers that kind of stop people from delving into the AI space, and how to kind of apply to roles that deal with generative AI and agentic AI requirements, and how to successfully give interviews and also land a job. So these are some of the topics which I want to kind of, for the next 45 minutes, we'll see what are the criteria required to kind of be successful in this area, based with keeping in context all the topics what I mentioned. So with that, so just an overview of what we will be talking as part of this course. Generally, anyone, if you look at any courses or any tutorials out there in the generative AI and agentic AI space, uh, there is a speculation or there is a thought process in people that you require a whole lot of mathematics, machine learning, deep learning background to actually get to a point where you can start using models. But that's not the complete picture. As is, you might require some understanding there, but having a very deep understanding of the mathematics behind this, using calculus, statistics, probability, and all those things, should not stop you from getting and adopting and using models, because you use these things on a daily basis. You go to ChatGPT, you go to Perplexity, and a whole lot of other AI products. Behind the scenes, all these products are using models. And without a very deep understanding how these models are trained, how they work, how they reply to your requests and all, we are knowingly or unknowingly using this ecosystem. So the ML and DL basics and the NLP basics are required, but not to the depth of what a deep learning engineer or a machine learning engineer or a data scientist would require. Because as software engineers, while you work, or software engineers or folks who are learning software engineering concepts, data engineering, and all these concepts, you are well acclimated with system design, you are well acclimated with programming languages, you are well acclimated with a cloud ecosystem like GCP. That knowledge and those transferable skills, those skills are easily transferable to the Gen A and agentic AI space, because the patterns, the frameworks, the applications that are built around the agentic AI and the Gen AI space are completely similar to what you have built a generation before, in the form of microservices, in the form of web applications, in the form of monolithic applications as such, because the same concepts around databases, caching, performance, scalability, security, all those concepts that form the basis of a software application also are applicable and form the main concepts around Gen AI and agentic AI. with the only twist that there is a model in it. So your blockers to not get into this area, which is the machine learning, deep learning, and the natural language processing basics, should not stop you from understanding these concepts and applying them, and also applying to the jobs. We have a whole lot of frameworks within the market that are coming up on a day-to-day basis. But what we'll deal here in this course is the frameworks which enterprise companies are adopting at a very fast rate, which is LangChain and LangGraph, and the Google ecosystem as well. Google ADK is the Google ADK agent development kit they have recently introduced to build agents. Vortex AI and AI Studio give you a very nice space to try all these models on your own. You will be able to run all these scripts, interact with these models in Google Colab, and all you would need here is a account within the Vertex AI Studio and AI Studio and the Vertex AI Studio. So that should not. So technology-wise, there's no blockers here where you can easily go and learn. As you learn these concepts as part of this course, you can apply them and build your own agents using these models, Gemini models, the state-of-the-art models, Gemini models, and a bunch of other moving parts within the agentic AI space as well. From an adoption perspective, so we'll look at all these topics in detail in just a bit, but I wanted to get a couple of things away. First, from an adoption standpoint, Gemini is growing by leaps and bounds. The Google ecosystem is growing by leaps and bounds. And recently, the number of users who are using these Gemini models skyrocketed from 35 crores to 65 crores within a span of 6 months. That's a very big jump. And it's giving ChatGPT and these other vendors, model vendors, a run for their money. And within the enterprise space, we have a lot of companies that have tried and tested products around AWS, Azure, GCP, and the most comprehensive ecosystem they have seen, at least in the company I work with and a couple of other companies I know folks around. GCP ecosystem is the most adopted ecosystem, given the state of the art models, the easy access to try and build POCs, as well as the ease with which you can understand the entire ecosystem. So Vertex AI and Google AI Studio are pretty straightforward and offer a very simple introduction and advancement into the area of Gen AI and agentic AI. Compared to if you take another ecosystem like AWS and Azure, they also offer similar products, but the barrier to kind of understand that ecosystem and get into that space is a bit more complex than what GCP provides. And all in all, you have been using GCP as part of your data engineering curriculum. So that's the reason why I'm emphasizing that whatever you learn there, those skills are easily transferable into the Gen AI and the agentic AI space. Looking at it, thinking that, okay, if I need to understand what machine learning is, deep learning is, and all this stuff, it's a good to have, but it's not the only requirement that should stop you from getting into the space. So GCP is the way to go from a future perspective, and there are a lot of opportunities opening up with GCP across. And the reason why I say that is I've seen projects that have clients across Europe and India, where the skill gap with respect to the GCP ecosystem, the Gen AI ecosystem, and the agentic ecosystem there is a lot of skills shortage. And all these concepts have been introduced recently between 2024 and 2025. So getting into this space right now and understanding this ecosystem and stepping into it will give you a very good opportunity for your future to get into this space and earn good salaries from a software job perspective. Every 10 years, software changes. 2015, data science machine learning took off. And as you could see, between 2015 and 2022, there are a lot of roles around machine learning, deep learning, and data science. 2022 through 2025, the entire ecosystem around Gen AI and agentic AI is maturing very fast. And this is the right time to get into this space and take advantage of it. So this is the reason why GCP is the way to go. Between March and October, so 2024, there were around 9 crore users for the using Gemini models. 2024. That increased to 35 crores. And from there on, it's now at 65 crores within a span of 6 months, March through October, November. The amount of adoption, a number of companies that are moving to the GCP ecosystem and the Gen AI agentic ecosystem, which Vertex AI and AI Studio provides, has also increased price. And one, I'm emphasizing once again, all the understanding you have of the GCP ecosystem that's part of your data curriculum, data engineering curriculum that you have been doing or planning to do, all those skills are easily transferable here. So that it makes it easier to understand this ecosystem and this course will be easier to follow. So course requirements. Knowledge of Python is good, but in case if you feel you have gaps around having a decent amount of knowledge around Python and all, um, we will be able to provide materials around that so that you can brush up your Python skills because we'll be going through all the code snippets and the capstone projects around Python because it's easier to explain and run within the Colab ecosystem. Then system design conceptual knowledge around how APIs work, how databases and caches are used is a good to have. But we will definitely cover a bunch of these concepts as we are moving into building these applications. Because what this course would give you, in addition to the knowledge you learn here, is a good brush up of the system design skills as well. Because system design is any interview that you go to around software applications or generative AI, agentic AI space, in addition to the how, a lot of questions are around performance, scalability, security, and reliability. And all these pieces, all these are moving pieces within the system design ecosystem. And all those are applicable for your software applications as well as applications you build using these frameworks, LangChain, LangGraph, Google ADK. So that would be the extra knowledge that can be provided that this course provides as well, in addition to a good understanding around these concepts. So as far as the course details go, we're looking at close to 35 to 40 sessions, classroom sessions, online classroom sessions, and each session pegged at 45 minutes to an hour. We will break down each of these concepts into a conceptual deep dive that can include that's not restricted to the concept itself, but we will also look from a software engineering lens. As I mentioned, if there are any additional concepts around system design or programming that we need to cover, we'll cover that as well. We'll go through code examples and we will execute these code examples in the Colab ecosystem. All this material will be provided post the class, and you have the opportunity to execute these programs on your own. We'll look at three capstone projects. One capstone project, once we look at the Gen AI ecosystem, the conceptual understanding of what LLMs are and what the generative AI space holds. Then there is another capstone project around once we look at the LangChain LangGraph ecosystem, how everything integrates into one. Then once we cover the Google ADK ecosystem as well, we look at another capstone project that will help you reinforce the concepts that you've learned around the ADK, agent development kit, and the GCP ecosystem in general. We will also look at different design patterns as well by looking at actual examples for agents and the generative AI projects. We will also discuss in detail what sort of keywords or what sort of descriptions that you have to include as part of your resume that you will publish and share with companies or roles that talk about the Gen AI and the agentic ecosystem. We'll also discuss actual interview questions, how these questions are kind of tailored, and what sort of answers you can give, taking into context an actual look at how a production SKU project looks like from a agentic AI perspective. In addition to this, as we look at the Vertex AI ecosystem, we will touch base on concepts around the ops side of things, the DevOps side of things, how agents are hosted, how they're exposed to the end customer as APIs or applications or interfaces as such. And we'll also talk about different interactions with the database, caching, when each of these components are used as such. One other caveat here, what this course provides is we will ingrain all these basic concepts around the architectural concepts and the programming concepts around Gen AI and agentic space that you can apply to other frameworks as well in the future as you see. Right now, these are the two frameworks that are heavily adopted in a lot of enterprise companies. There are other frameworks that are coming out each day, but the community support, the enterprise adoption, licensing costs, and building scalable applications, all these boxes are ticked pretty much for LangChain, LangGraph, and the Google ADK ecosystem. So that's why we are taking this and we are discussing this as such. But all this knowledge is, again, we'll try to keep it in such a way that all these skills are transferable when you pick up other frameworks as well within the same ecosystem, the agents and Gen AI ecosystem. Because in the future, you can have other frameworks, you can have other new additions to these existing frameworks as such. So that kind of reinforces these concepts once you reinforce in your mind as to how these applications work, how these are designed, how you can put together a scalable performance, high performing distributed agent or a Gen AI application. These concepts you can apply all these concepts for your microservices as such and these other applications because it is the same sort of system design and architectural concepts we'll be discussing in both. And we'll run a we'll see how these system design concepts are applied in each case as well to get a better understanding. So let me stop here for a minute and see if anybody have any questions.
Yeah, the subscriptions are paid or they are free versions for learning?
So the Colab subscription, Vertex AI and AI Studio subscriptions are free. You will need a Gmail ID that will give you $300 worth of credits for about 3 months. So we'll use everything free to
Okay.
kind of go through, run everything, all the code examples as part of this course.
May I know the prerequisites for this course? Like, what are all the things we should know prior?
So having, let me go back to the previous slide. So having a beginner knowledge of Python is good, but in case if you have any gaps around, okay, you want to brush your skills as such, we can provide any materials regarding Python and videos and examples as such. So that can be provided. Having system conceptual knowledge of system design and architecture as to how APIs work, database, what are databases and caching and all is helpful, but it should not stop you from not, if you don't have that knowledge prior, it should not stop you, because as we look at an actual application, we will definitely cover all these concepts as to how an agent interacts with the database, how you can interact with the model using APIs as such in detail, pretty much in detail. So that should reinforce the same conceptual knowledge. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, Python means Python programming or Python scripting, which was.
Python programming in general.
Okay, so if I don't have the experience in Python, will that work?
It should not stop you from because from if you the code examples and all we'll go through in such a way that we'll try to keep it as generic as possible, in the sense that it should give you a working understanding of what the script does. But I would definitely recommend you take a look at the course material for Python, which will be provided as part of this course as such, at least up to a point where you have understanding of what primitive types are, what are loops, and what are conditionals. That basic knowledge would help you get a more detailed understanding. But definitely that when you run these scripts on your own, you can definitely correlate to what is happening in that program. And if you have any more questions, you can definitely come back, and I'll be more than happy to clear things out. So it should not having the knowledge of Python should not stop you from understanding these concepts.
Okay.
And
Um,
do you cover RAG and chatbot and other vector concepts as well in this training?
Yes. So yes. So that is the other second part of this session. I wanted to go through what topics are covered as part of each of these headings. And RAGs, vector databases, prompting, all those concepts are discussed in detail as part of the under the Gen AI subheading. So,
Okay.
Hello. Hello, sir.
yes.
How much knowledge could have Python of for everyone? Is it a beginner or intermediate or above intermediate?
So in essence, you need to understand what are primitive types, conditional statements, looping, what is a Python class, and importing packages, importing and installing packages. As you see how we will execute these scripts on Colab, it should not be that difficult for you to run and understand these as such. So the recommended is these 5 things. But if you feel you have a gap, we'll be providing adjoining material where you can get up to speed on these Python concepts and follow the class.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, Uday. So, since we are registered to this data engineer course, right? So, is this an add-on to it, or is it like a completely a different individual role? And if it is an add-on, like, uh, where is it intersecting with data engineering? this Gen AI?
So you mean when you say role from a job perspective or from a conceptual perspective? Where is the I'm trying to understand the context of the question.
Actually, both. Like, is it like a Gen AI role is like a completely different role, or is it combined Gen AI plus data engineer role?
I will cover that as well in just a couple of minutes. So I would so just to give a preview of that. So you'll find roles where data engineering is a prerogative and the Gen AI and agentic stuff is a add-on. You'll also find roles that where the knowledge of Gen AI and agentic is very specific to that role. So you have both roles available in the market. That being said, what matters here is whatever you are learning and picking up as part of your data engineering curriculum, all the skills are highly transferable in understanding and building a good base around these concepts. Because, say, for example, data engineering has a lot of conceptual understanding around warehouses, databases, caching, APIs as such. All those conceptual knowledge is somewhat applicable here because if you take example of agent, an agent can interact externally using APIs. It can externally interact with a database. It can interact with a Kafka cluster, or it can call a microservice using a REST API. So whatever skills with respect to programming and system design that you are picking up as part of your data engineering curriculum would definitely apply here, and it will be more easier for you to follow and pick up these skills.
Uday sir.
Yeah.
Sir, sorry to disturb you, sir. ఒకసారి కాల్ పిక్ చేయండి సార్.
Sorry?
కాల్ ఇచ్చారు సార్ ఒకసారి.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I have a doubt, Uday.
Okay.
What is
Uh,
API and API's differences? Because I think both serves the same purpose, right? Interacting with the programs and bridging up the applications.
so can we just park this question because I wanted to get to the second part of this setup, and then we'll give 15 minutes for all these questions because I'm just trying to kind of respect everyone's time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's
Hello, sir.
fine.
Okay.
Hi. Am I audible, sir?
Sorry, your voice is very low.
Okay, sir. I would like to know if this course is suitable for freshers like me.
So that's what we'll answer all questions towards the end because we'll give 15 minutes towards the end of the hour. I want to get to the second part of my presentation. And then we'll pick up more questions and try to answer all the questions.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. So okay. So let's go to the second part of this session. I wanted to give a quick overview of how we'll be building the conceptual knowledge around getting to the Gen AI and the agentic side of things. So our initial base would be around machine learning. This knowledge is needed because we will be using mostly text-based models because it will be easier to understand the GenAI concepts. Sorry, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, now it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll build some understanding around what a couple of concepts around machine learning. Again, we'll try to keep it as simple as possible without delving into the complex mathematics and the um, and just focusing on concepts that will push us to understand what sort of algorithms are used in deep learning models. So you might have seen in a lot of areas where deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and as we go up this hierarchy, we are specializing and we are kind of reducing the scope of what we are learning as such. So having a good understanding of a few algorithms in machine learning, a couple of concepts around the machine learning basics such as bias, variance, and all that stuff will give us a good understanding to dive into what neural networks are and what sort of different models are available. Once we cover that, we are looking into what is natural language processing. This is important because we'll try to understand generative AI in the context of text models, because the amount of data you can process, you can run as part of your examples, you can run as part of your capstone projects would be lower, and it will give you a very detailed understanding of how things are working as such. And we look at a couple of advanced concepts in the NLP processing that includes the different types of architecture that forms the basis of what LLMs are. So once we cover this, we are looking at what are LLMs. So this is the beginning of your GenAI space. Kind of is a subset between these two. We look at what foundational models are that form the basis of the LLMs. We look at different trainings. How do you train an LLM? How do you interact with an LLM? There are various techniques that you use: prompt engineering, RAGs. So these are different ways you can interact with the LLM. Then we'll also look at the conceptual understanding of what builds an LLM. That includes the training. That includes also how an LLM operates. We look at what attention is, what context is. That build the conceptual understanding of how LLMs function in the first place. Then as we build on all these concepts, because this also includes additional concepts such as vector databases. While we are here, we'll start our first introduction into the Google Vertex AI ecosystem and the Google AI Studio. So we'll start understanding how this ecosystem operates, what are the different offerings, what this ecosystem provides, and we'll start whatever conceptual knowledge we have built here, we'll start implementing it on the GCP ecosystem. for the LLMs. There are a couple of more buzzwords we have to cover. So what are embeddings, then what is context? So we'll cover all these concepts as part of the foundational models or the LLMs working. So once we have this basis, we will take a quick detour into looking at some system design basics. This is important because agents are whatever system design and architectural concepts you use when building agents. Having a good understanding of how you can adopt system design basics to build performance oriented, resilient, distributed architecture, then secure, scalable applications is very important. So having a good understanding, at least from a basics perspective, would go a long way in building, understanding how agents work and how you can build better agents. So this is the agentic part. Now we have a good understanding of the LLMs because for agents, the core of the understanding, the core of the processing comes with the LLMs. So you are adding wrappers on top of LLMs and giving the LLMs the capability to perform external tasks. As LLMs do not have the capability, additional capabilities other than processing and replying back to requests or questions. Giving additional capabilities to the LLMs is what agentic AI is all about. So we'll cover what are agents in general. Then we will cover the different, this includes a lot of design patterns. Such, then we will dive into the LangChain ecosystem. What is LangChain? And then once we have a good understanding of that, we'll look into the LangGraph ecosystem. Then at this point, I forgot to mention. So our first capstone project will be around these concepts. And our second capstone project will be around this. So we will also build a couple of generative AI apps using LangChain, and we will build our understanding into how to build agents using LangGraph.
Hey, Uday. Your screen got stuck actually. Is it only for me or?
Is it paused?
No, it's fine for us.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So once we have understood the LangChain and LangGraph ecosystem, we are in a good position to understand other frameworks because we have built our base around all these basics and also how we are creating agents. Then we'll delve into one other framework, the Google Agent Development Toolkit. This is a fairly recent addition into the Google Vertex AI ecosystem. And this is a good to have because the reason why this will be helpful is whatever conceptual knowledge you have gained across these boxes, you can adapt it here. And we will also look at a good amount of examples here of single and multi agents as well. And we will actually see, again, with the lens of the system design, we'll also see how in a production-based environment, how you can have this agent, how you can scale these agents. What are the moving parts? Because when you are answering questions in an interview, also when you are designing your apps, there are a certain set of criteria that you need to always, or rather a toolbox that you have to use so that your application ticks all the boxes. So we will emphasize those things, and looking at all these things will also help you answer better when you are dealing with an actual, not only a software engineering interview or a rather a more from a more specialized distinct standpoint, role that interacts with Gen AI and agentic frameworks. So we'll take these examples, we will hash out a nice production-based architecture. How would that architecture look like? And we will go through each step and see how you can optimize it, how you can scale it, how you can make it secure as such. And these examples are pretty nifty in teaching those concepts. So we'll cover those as well in detail. Then here would be your capstone, third capstone project. And finally, once you have a good amount of understanding here, then we'll also cover concepts around, we'll take a couple of actual interview questions and see how you can frame the answers for these questions from taking an example of an actual project. Because keeping in context as to something you have worked on or learned and giving and explaining that as part of your interview process would give the interviewer a better view of what you know. So we'll include those as well. So let's call it interview prep. This includes how you can draft out the description for these roles or these projects rather within your resume. We'll cover a whole set of questions, how you can frame your answers based on all the conceptual knowledge you have gained in this course, and that will help you be ready for future roles. Okay, so this was the entire course curriculum that we will cover. And I just wanted to take a quick detour as to what a actual role looks like, because your between what we have been seeing, what I've been seeing in the market, as well as what as a company we are seeing things evolve, is the roles now for data scientists. Data science, then machine learning, and deep learning have become more specialized because all the training that you require to build your LLMs are all specialized mostly in these two areas. And the knowledge you require here is completely different from what the Gen AI and agentic AI ecosystem requires. Because here, for these roles, you require a whole lot of mathematical foundation to get into these roles. But if you look at roles involving Gen AI and agentic AI, based on what you have seen here and my own personal experience, having a solid foundation around system design, programming, and all this conceptual knowledge would easily give you an edge when applying for these roles. So you will be pretty much obscured from this entire part, and you will be the consumer of this rather than being the producer of LLMs. All these roles are consuming the LLMs, the capabilities of what LLMs can do. So that is how the roles have changed. And that is the reason why you have software engineers, DevOps people. I have seen in my own company testing folks, like test engineers. Everyone is able to kind of transition into these roles fairly easily. And that is what I meant by transferable skills. Because you are consuming, you're building applications around the LLMs. These are no different from what microservices or web apps or monolithic applications are doing. Because here, all the logic is written by the human. All the decision making is done by the human developer. The only thing that is different is all the decision making is done by the LLM. And you are providing the LLM the capability to interact externally, how to perform all these steps. All that logic is what the developer who transitions from building these apps to these apps does. So having a good understanding of system design, programming, and any roles you might be doing as such, it's easy to take your skills, what your current skill set is, and transition into becoming an Gen AI and agentic engineer. And I pull up a few roles. So obviously, from what I see here in the US and what I'm seeing in India, India is slowly adopting these things. And the rate at which the roles are coming up for service-based companies, product-based companies, startups, it is increasing at an alarming rate because the skill shortage is a lot. Not a lot of people are getting into this right now, and because it's still in the early stages. But between January of 2025 and November of 2025, the amount of change with companies adopting these models has increased threefold based on what Google has posted, what OpenAI has posted, what Anthropic has posted. All these companies are spending a lot of money building these models to be consumed by these enterprise companies. But the skill shortage is a lot. And a whole lot of these roles go unattended because people don't have the skills. And and that's the thing I'm trying to emphasize again. There is a huge misunderstanding that getting into agentic AI and Gen AI, you need a whole lot of understanding in this side of the space. No, that's not the entire picture because this side of the space is only to build LLMs. And that's becoming, as time progresses, it becomes very specialized. But from a consumption perspective, so you have an LLM that's powerful and you want to make applications companies want to use these LLMs. This space, there is a lot of gap. So the existing set of roles, what you are seeing, you could be a data engineer and you can have the GenAI and agentic as an add-on, or you can be a software engineer and you can transition into a specialized GenAI and agentic AI. It works both ways. But having the understanding, because this is exploding right now at a very fast pace, getting in now and in the coming set of months and years, it is for 2026, the demand is going to go up even more. And India is a huge market. And the roles I'm seeing, say if we take one role here, what is asked for is pretty much you need to have a background around cloud. You need to understand a cloud vendor. In your case, GCP, you have been interacting with GCP a lot. LangChain and LangGraph, one framework which you can use to build agents, because every other framework out there works in a similar way. The conceptual knowledge is not anything different. So that gives you the edge, as well as a programming language. So those are the common denominators for roles that you see for agentic and GenAI. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. And okay, let's open it up for questions. Hello?
Hello, I'm Lakshman.
Yeah,
So,
tell me.
from the recent example, from LLM consumers and LLM developers. So, you said data science, ML, and DL, and data scientists will help to develop the LLMs and the Gen AI by taking this course, Gen AI and Agentic AI.
Yeah,
We try to consume the LLMs, right?
that's correct. So all the chatbots you see, like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, these are all consuming the capabilities of the LLM. And
So here,
additional capability, yeah.
sorry, just to add on my question. So
Yeah,
here we are not, I'm not sure, just saying, like we are not going to build any kind of LLM on top of the LLM using this Gen AI and Agentic AI course, or are we just implementing applications or some agentic kind of models on top of LLMs? Am I correct or
that's
understanding?
correct. Because training an LLM requires a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure, and a lot of data. So that is the reason why you have large scale companies like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI spend billions of dollars to build an LLM. So the point you mentioned, right, building an LLM, you require a lot of data. And generally, when I say data, look at the entire internet. If you take, say, an OpenAI model like GPT-5 or GPT-4, it is trained on, say, 1200 crore parameters. And that involves the entire internet, the amount of data available on the internet. And it costs a fortune. So we won't be covering building an LLM from scratch within this. We'll be looking at what LLMs are, how they are trained, but using these frameworks, once you have a conceptual understanding how an LLM works, how you can leverage the power of the LLM into building chatbots, into building agents, and a whole lot of other applications. And that is what I was talking about, the difference between the creation side and the consumption side. And it's not one person who can build an LLM. It requires a whole team of experts to build that LLM. And that is the reason why all these companies license these LLMs. You pay a lot of money to license these LLMs. And LLM as such there is something called as a foundational model. The foundational model is trained with all sort of data, and you can take that model and you can retrain it with minimal amount of data to do specific actions. That we will be seeing, and that is what the training part of the LLM talks about. So you take a foundational model, then you retrain it with a different type of data so that this model can perform a different set of actions. But the how to perform those actions, all that knowledge is built into the model on the left side of this line. For instance, say if you have an LLM that does math, that can do mathematics, you trained it and your foundational model can do maths very well. Now you can take this and retrain it with a different amount of information, with a lesser amount of information, and specialize it to be a chartered accountant that takes care of managing accounts, balancing checks, and all that. So again, the line is there. All this is done by using deep learning techniques. But this piece is done using a smaller amount of data and specialized techniques so that you can use it for a specific task. So this is how the difference is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and one more question from my side. Like, so for understanding this Gen AI and agentic course, like other models like Vertex AI, some Google ADK, we don't need to go and get the deep knowledge on data science, machine learning, deep learning, NLP,
No,
few others,
no,
right? Just basics, as
no.
you mentioned in the modules, course module. Basics are enough for understanding this and implement agents to perform these kind of calculations or actions on top of LLMs, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So always there is always that's the reason why I kind of broke it down here. So whatever is required to get here to actually what an LLM is. So the amount of basics required to do that, to understand what an LLM is, and to actually train and build an LLM are two separate things. So that's the distinction there.
Yeah, basically in this course, we won't implement the LLM. We are consume the LLM, right?
Yes.
As part of the
So as part of the first capstone project, we will try to basically use an LLM and cover all these concepts. And you are right. It's always the consumption side of things because your generative AI and agentic AI roles are focused on the consumption of the LLM. They're supposed to building the LLMs. And again, I'm emphasizing this. Building an LLM requires a very specialized amount of deep learning knowledge, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of data, and a whole lot of money. So
yeah.
that is the reason why the entire generative AI agentic ecosystem is around the consumption of what these LLMs can do. You can retrain them. So training and retraining are two separate things. Retrain them to be specialized in some sort of a task. But
Yeah,
that is
got it.
cheaper.
Yeah,
Hi,
got
hi,
it.
Uday.
Yeah.
Actually, so we are not designing or developing any LLMs, and we are means utilizing existing we have developed LLMs by taking some license, and also chatbots. Also, we are not means we are developing by using no code tools like Notion AI or N8N. And also some other free tools, paid or free tools from available in internet. So what exactly we will develop here? And means what type of real-time projects we are doing? We will do once complete the course.
So chatbots and all are applications that still would require code. You're not just picking something off the shelf and just putting on top of an LLM and doing it. No. Your if you take the example of the different set of projects will or different set of applications we look at Langchain and Langgraph, your agent can say, let's take the same example. Your agent would be able to perform as a chartered accountant. Say in an enterprise, let's take it one step further. If you look at a bank, generally you have
Yes.
You have a human teller.
Actually, I have seen by attending some other. I should not bring those topics here, but by attending other AI demos, so they have shown some chatbots simply by creating no code tools. So I thought maybe yeah, in real time, like a banking or financial or banking sector, we need some other codes need to implement to design chatbots. Just comparing only. Other than that, what we can do in real time means in real time projects
So
by learning
here
this
is the
course.
thing. So here is the thing. If you look at other projects, I also looked at a bunch of other project curriculum and all. They are generally around 12 to 14 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks. And they emphasize the first 6 weeks building around machine learning and deep learning. But the amount of information they can provide with respect to taking into the context as to what a production SKU agent looks like, not a single agent, rather say multiple agents, how multiple agents interact and talk to each other, how they are hosted, how you can expose these agents so that users can use them. I haven't seen those set of concepts get covered, because if you want to just build an agent, you can just go to any interface online and just you are right, no code tools, you can just build things. But as a software engineer or as a DevOps engineer or as a data engineer, what are the steps you follow to actually build a production application that you can deploy? These set of details are not comprehensively discussed, at least in the courses what I've seen, because all they show are a couple of code snippets of how things work. I can put together a 10-line piece of code, call it an agent, make it do a Google search to say check the weather and all, and be done with it. But if such an application you deploy in a production scale environment, how do you increase the traffic for that application? Say if the traffic increases, how do you securely make sure that application is performing well? How do you host it? How do you how can you have this application scale as the demand increases? And that is the reason why I was talking about covering the system design basics and building this entire knowledge graph on top of this. So that would be the additional amount of knowledge what this course can provide. In
Yeah.
addition to, yeah.
Thank you. One more small query. So for
Sure.
developing chatbots, Gen AI and Agent AI both are required, or only Gen AI is enough?
So there is a actual distinction between a chatbot and an agent. Okay. So your LLM as is stateless. It just responds to prompts. So if you are building a chatbot, having an understanding of what an LLM does is good enough. Any additional set of concepts you might require would be around prompt engineering and RAGs. That's it. You can go build a chatbot pretty easy. But if you want this LLM to perform additional tasks, say for a particular event, you want this LLM to perform some other activity. Say if you get a acknowledgement for someone signed a document and you get an acknowledgement and you pass the acknowledgement to the LLM and you want the LLM to send out an email. As the complexity of these interactions increases, you no longer are looking at a chatbot. You require a full-fledged application, and that application is what agent is. You are giving more capabilities for the LLM to perform external actions. So that is the difference between a standard chatbot and what an agent does.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions before we close this session?
Yeah, I have one question. So currently in the market, right? So you show in the Naukri also the demand is two agents, right? Developing agents, Gen AI like that. So not the actual LLM implementation. Let's say, for example, in my project there is some repetitive work is there. Okay, so I want to develop one agent which will automate that task. Okay, so for that one, I need to optimize the LLM in such a way that it has to be do some. I need to develop a agent to make that is automated by using LLM. Is that correct? Is that my statement is correct?
So it depends.
Yeah.
So it depends because when you say automation, you can automate a series of steps or a workflow using a simple script. You might not require an agent in that case. Say, for instance, if you look at, say, DevOps, a CI/CD pipeline is a very good example. So if I have a set of steps like take a jar and deploy it in Docker or something. If this is the set of steps, okay, if you need to make this, if you need to automate this, a simple script would suffice. But in this case, you might not require an agent. When you would require an agent is if this use case becomes a bit more complex. Okay, after you deploy in Docker, you are there is a other step where you are monitoring the deployment. And in case of any errors, you send an email out. Say, if this is your use case, there are a couple of questions that pop up. So you have to define what is an error, right? So where do you look for the error? It's in your logs. So if you have to look at your logs, a simple script won't be enough. So you need a model where you will send these error logs and model decides what an error is. So as the complexity of your use case increases, then you can take a decision to use an agent to perform this series of steps. Then this agent, rather this model, and this agent is sitting inside the model. Second. And this agent does the same set of steps. So here you are actually automating. But if it's only a very simple use case, like you take a jar, you deploy it on Docker, you wouldn't require an agent there because there's no complex interaction there. It's a very set series of steps. But as the complexity of your use case increases, where you have to make decisions depending on a certain set of events, at that point in time, then you can start exploring, should I automate it using an agent? That's a piece. That's how I would look at it. Because I don't know
The
your,
perfect example. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Rohit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
So
Uday.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Hello. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Sorry. So I think it's been almost 10:20. So guys, can we conclude the session? If you have any questions, we can talk on Monday morning.
Sir, I have one
Yeah.
question regarding as a freshers. Is it
Yeah,
suitable for
freshers. Okay. Yeah.
freshers?
Last question, Uday, can you answer that? Is it good for
Yeah,
freshers?
absolutely. Because there
Actually,
are
freshers
very
don't have any prior knowledge, right? So is it he can follow blindly to this course or not?
absolutely, because we will be covering. So from a fresher standpoint, you are expected to at least have some level of programming knowledge, or at least pick it up. At least some
At least,
amount of
we
programming.
can have some Python programming language like data types and some programming
Yeah,
language like loops. Is it enough for us? Do we
yeah,
need to
that
learn
should be
something?
enough.
Uh,
In addition to that, having a good understanding of what databases are, what APIs are, what caching is, would also help. Because if you are going for a normal software engineering role, also you require this knowledge, right? So just program knowledge is not enough. A little bit of understanding of what the system design concepts are would also be helpful if you are going to a normal software engineer role or a data engineering role. So that's the same amount of clarity that you might require to understand this course. But being a fresher should not stop you from taking this course and understanding these concepts, because there are specialized roles for this particular
Yeah,
expertise.
correct. Yeah, Jagan, on top of that, basically there are a lot of freshers in the market, right? Who learned Python full stack, Java full stack. Okay.
yes,
So, but
yes.
the person who knows AI, Gen AI, along with Java or Python, it will be added advantage. And the others are said that if you have more knowledge on top of that, system engineering, market knowledge, 100% you will place. Okay. You should be
Okay.
unique out of thousands of people. Then only you will get the job at this point of time.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Actually, I would like to know my brother-in-law is recently graduated, so
Okay.
I'm asking for him. So he
Okay,
and me
got it,
both are
got it.
going to join.
Okay,
So
good.
that's why I'm
And
asking the question.
everyone, so we are going to share the Python videos as well as SQL and big data. All three videos we are going to share very soon. So we are not going to waste time again in this morning session. So learning Scratch, SQL and Python. So you can go through the videos. And above that, Uday sir will start with machine learning basics. Is that right, Uday? Are we in sync?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I hope next session will be on Monday morning, 7 a.m. Okay, because of all working people also can join this course. And even my data engineering people also can join, because 7 to 8 o'clock will be the regular sessions.
What is the cost of this course and the duration?
Yeah, cost duration would be around 35 to 40 sessions. It might be a 1.5 to close to 2 months tenure. The fees would be, as of now, we are charging 40,000. Whoever joining by Monday, we are going to give 25% discount. So my admin team will call you and they will explain. Okay. So it will be approximately 30,000 per now.
And the course starting date is?
Monday only.
Monday, okay.
Monday. Okay. Monday, a few more new people might join, so it will be a little bit early class. I mean, I can say it's not really demo, but in like introduction or orientation type of class on Monday and Tuesday. Then we'll continue the machine learning. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time. So we'll meet you on Monday morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uday.
Thank you, Uday.